heaters. I'm going to be continuing to use the same two that we started with on the last video, specifically for the reason of showing you how to properly clean the heat exchanger if you run into a situation where you feel that it's still viable. Let's say you get, and I've had heat exchangers that are plugged in the same manner that these units are, but we've been able to clean them to a degree. I wouldn't really, hopefully you would never get this bad, but I'm going to walk you through a quick cleaning process. Now let me show you. So in here, this is absolutely insane, right? So the thought process is a couple things. One, this induced draft motor does a couple things. One, it's pulling your combustion air, and simultaneously, besides combustion air, it's also creating exhaust. It's pulling it from the back of this, pushing it up through here. You can see the little holes here. That's how it pushes the air through. So the gas and air mixture occurs inside of this chamber, pushes up into the heat exchanger, and then obviously heats up your primary, and then this is your secondary stainless steel heat exchanger. So when we look at this, the thought process is, how would I look at it, how would I first of all go about cleaning this heat exchanger? I would stop by first pausing before I actually consider cleaning the heat exchanger, and I would immediately turn my attention to this. Why? Well, let's talk about this right quick for one moment. I actually just pull it out here. Specifically, when we look at this, this is basically the solenoids, and typically now some of the newer units, they have actually 6 of these and 5 of these. I might be wrong a little bit on having 5, but I think there's at least 6. I think there's 5 of these solenoids on some of the newer ones. Typically what they do is they will open and close based upon flow rate of the water that's going through there. This is what controls your gas going into the heat exchanger. On this side, you can see your orifices. Now let me show you something right quick. I'm going to kind of speed this video up, but what we're going to do is we're going to basically take apart each one of these screws, and I'll show you what we have. Hold on. Okay, so I just removed all the screws. Now, typically the best way to go about this is putting a little screwdriver right up here in between these two and kind of just prying them apart. And sometimes you're going to notice they're very, very difficult, like in this case. Of course, I'm making a video, so it becomes very difficult for me to take it apart. But let me show you what we're going to do here. In this case, I'm just actually going to pop this off. Just a little bit to use. Just push it back through here just a little bit, just to kind of pry it just a bit. Okay. Oh, sorry about the fumble, guys. Now we're going to open this up, and actually it's funny, this hasn't been connected to gas in a long time, but you can still smell the resin. Okay, this is the back side. Now I want you to notice something. I'm going to hold this up to the light to show you why. Well, actually, let me show you in here. This shows you how inundated. So these springs open and close, right? Now let me see if I can get you a good angle. There are bugs and debris also in here. Now let me hold this up to the light. You can actually see even inside the orifices that there are bugs and debris in here. So it is vital, if you're going to clean this, make sure you also clean this part of the chamber, so that way you can, let me see here. That one looks okay. That one looks somewhat okay. And this one was the one that was somewhat plugged in. Actually, I don't know if you can see inside of there. You can see kind of how those bugs and that debris could actually potentially inhibit this plunger. So simultaneously, then I always like to pull off this piece, which is your primary piece for your gas valve. And then I like to take this and flip it and actually look inside of there. There's a screen. That screen's going to usually prevent any kind of contaminants from getting in there. There's a little speck of something inside of there. I don't know exactly what that is. Yeah, there's a little bit of debris in there, but nothing major. So typically that's how I would start my cleaning. I would actually start with this piece here because I already have it off. And then I would actually go through and kind of blow it with my nitrogen. And I'll show you that setup right quick. So here's my nitrogen tank, standard, basic nitrogen. I have my little gauges that are on there. This is my little tool that I use right here. I have it connected to a refrigeration hose, just made it easier for me because we do HVAC as well here at Sandison Plumbing, Mechanical, Electrical, and LeakFinder.com. We are full plumbing, HVAC, mechanical, and electrical. Typically what I'll then do is I will then set this up. Let me see if I can get the camera correct on this. And then what we'll do is we'll usually take this piece right here, right? And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to just blow through here. So we're going to open up our nitrogen and then blow through each one of those orifices, blow this out, get a nice clean feel, and then kind of go from there. Once we blow all of this out, then we'll be good to go, right? And then simultaneously, in this specific case, because this heat exchanger is so plugged, what we would then do is take a vacuum, start sucking this out. Now, unfortunately, there's no way you're going to actually find out whether or not you can get this burner chamber completely clean until you fire the unit back up, and the flames technically should have been blue, and that's what the color flames that you should see. As you can see, this glass is almost cracked and shattered because, again, on our last video, somebody decided to bypass specifically our limit switch. This heat exchanger is a different one right here, but look at the limit switch was not bypassed. Look at the glass. It's, even though it's dirty obviously in here, the glass is not shattered. So we were not dealing with a thermal limit issue on this unit, even though this unit was also dirty. Now, if you also notice on here, please remember, you can actually take off this piece as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here. This piece comes out and you have full access inside of there, and you can actually use a vacuum. I typically like, when I'm using my vacuum, I typically like to use a Milwaukee, and I'll use a Milwaukee 18 volt standard vacuum, the HEPA ones, so that way I can just have my battery, go through, vacuum everything out, and get it rocking and rolling. So again, Jim with LeakFinder.com and Sandison Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, Mechanical, and Electrical. We are one in the same company. Again, we have different aspects to our company, so a lot of times people ask. If you are in the Michigan area and you have issues with your Noritz Tankless water heating system, you can feel free to reach out for technical assistance. You can always call 248-467-1761. You can also email me directly at james@leakfinder.com, or you can also give us a call at 888-505-5325. So back to the tankless unit. Again, sometimes as the fan, what we would normally call in the HVAC industry a induced draft fan motor. In this case, it's not. I forgot the exact name that Noritz goes by when they call it this, but this fan specifically could also lead to issues in error codes and things of that nature. Typically, it doesn't, though. The other thing I wanted to touch base with is if you are going to get into a full cleaning, I always recommend, this is your flame sensor. I always recommend, technically you have two flame sensors here. You have this flame sensor and then this flame sensor. This right here is your spark ignition. And then what I would recommend doing is I always just clean that off just a little bit on the inside when I would take these screws off. Take those screws off, pull it out, and then simultaneously, if you have your nitrogen tank, you can actually add pressure there, and it will actually, I've had it actually blow back debris that was stuck in the other portion of the burner of the gas chamber. So I hope that gives you a quick rundown of how Noritz tankless water heaters are able to be cleaned. We'll have another episode where we talk about our full descale on Noritz tankless water heaters, because the majority of homeowners out there that call us, they say, oh, I've already descaled my unit. They don't follow the proper steps, and unfortunately it's because it's not really a common thing to descale a tankless water heater in the manner that we use. Other than that, if you have questions, you have our phone number, and then again, follow us if you'd like to, and subscribe to our channel if we have helped you out in any manner. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.